समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है, अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है, अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
अब समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Now the trouble, protests in Balochistan and also insurgency has been on since 2006. This phase has been on since 2006. 2006 is very important because that's when, towards the end of August 2006, Sardar Akbar Bugti, who was the head of the Bugti tribe or what is described as the Tumandar of the Bugti tribe, he was assassinated. He was killed. He was in his cave. He had some dispute with the government, particularly with Musharraf's government. He was not really a big insurgent leader. I used to know him. He was a politician. He had been a governor. In fact, if you go to Wikipedia, see the entries in Wikipedia, he's held many government positions. He was a very urbane, educated man, graduate of Assassination College, which I might say is the Lahore equivalent of Delhi's St. Stephen's College. And somebody who liked the feudal good life. However, he had gotten into a situation of odds with the Musharraf government. And now, because he was in a near state of war with the government, he was in his cave with his followers. He was hiding in a cave or had taken refuge in a cave with his followers. There are many controversies about how he was killed. However, it is widely believed that he was killed by the Pakistani army using an anti-tank missile, which they fired inside the cave, leading to the collapse of the cave, his death, and the death of many of his comrades who were with him. Of course, the Pakistan government then denied it. They said some explosives had blown off and that might have caused his death. But in 2013, Musharraf was arrested for this assassination. There were cases filed against Musharraf, his Prime Minister then Shaukat Aziz, also his Interior Minister Aftab Ahmed Sherpao for the assassination of Sardar Akbar Bugti. Now, this was almost exactly on the 80th anniversary of his assassination that Baloch insurgents carried out a string of attacks across Balochistan, across the region. And Balochistan is not a small region. In terms of area, Balochistan at about 3.5 lakh square kilometers is almost exactly about the same size as the country of Germany. It's that big. Its population, however, is very small for its area. It's one of the most thinly populated regions in the entire region, the subcontinent. It has only a population of about 1.9 crore people, but huge area. Now, in that state, they carried out attacks in Bolan, Kalat, Khadkucha, Rarasham and Kolpur. These are distant places, and then it followed up with attacks in Musa Khel district on a highway. Then they blew up a railway bridge at Bolan. That is what gives Pakistan a rail connection with Iran as well. So in all of these attacks, anything between 70 to 125 people were killed. Numbers would depend on who you are asking. Numbers might even depend on who's counting. However, the fact is that a lot of civilians were killed. Pakistani side would say they were civilians. The Baloch militants say no, they were not civilians. They were actually non-state actors being sent by the Pakistanis, armed to create trouble or to fight Baloch insurgents or to protect workers on infrastructure plants that the Chinese are building in this area, because this is the zone of CPEC, that is China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, connecting the Uyghur region, this Xinjiang region, with Gwadar and thereby to the Arabian Sea. The Pakistanis, however, claim that these were simple people traveling by bus, and they were then pulled out of the bus. Their identity cards were checked out. Everybody in Pakistan for decades has had a national ID card. So their ID cards were checked, and the insurgents, once they established they were Punjabis, they killed only the Punjabis. The Baloch insurgents, by the way, never describe Pakistani army as the Pakistani army. They always call it the Punjabi army. In fact, they will even tell you that what is called as Baloch regiment in Pakistani army is predominantly Punjabi army. Whatever the truth, that's what they will believe and that's what they will tell you. Now, this population of 1.9 crore, let me just get that sorted. 1.9 crore, the Baloch are in a majority in their own state. The Baloch, the total number of the Baloch in Pakistan is about 7 million. About 7 million in Pakistan, about 2 million in Iran, same tribal cousins, and a sizable number also in Afghanistan, not in that many millions or anything, but still a sizable number in adjoining regions in Afghanistan as well. So this is a multinational tribal group. It's not one tribe, it's a bunch of tribes. Now, these tribes have increasingly been coming together. In earlier insurgencies, they fought either on ideological basis. In the 70s, most groups were Marxist-Leninist, influenced by the Soviet Union. Many had gone and trained or got indoctrinated in Moscow as well. Then they fought under different sardars, or they were loyal to different sardars. They were the Murrays, they were the Mengals, Khyber Murray, Ataullah Mengal. Those are people we all know. Now they've become more united also in terms of the tribes. So these attacks, which caused all these deaths and destruction, the attack, for example, in Musakil district on the highway, that is where they stopped a vehicle and pulled out these Punjabis, 23 Punjabis, and killed him. Bolan Railway Bridge, I told you about. So this caused quite a bit of commotion and made a lot of headlines. And Pakistani government reacted. The Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif, in a televised address to the cabinet said, the terrorists want to stop CPEC and development projects. He wasn't quite wrong, because if you see some of the publicity videos that militants have issued, you can see them dressed as militants, masked, carrying weapons, right? And whoever is their leader is speaking in pretty good English, right? Pretty good English, who says that this is a protest also against the Chinese coming in and setting up infrastructure to take away the region's resources, also to reach out to the waters of the region, because Balochistan, unlike Afghanistan, Balochistan is not landlocked. Balochistan has a beautiful coastline, and that coastline also has the Gwadar port, which is among the most formidable deep water ports in the world. That's what the Chinese have been eyeing, and that's what CPEC is mostly about. So these insurgent commanders are saying, stay off our resources, stay off our copper, stay off our gold. For example, there is a mine called Sendak mine, where the Chinese have been given the contracts, and the Baloch insurgents are saying, and the Baloch leaders are saying that, look, Chinese can't come and take it, because under the agreement, Chinese will take 60% of all the copper and gold that's found. The federal government or the central government will take 38%, and all Balochistan will get is only 2%. Now what's happened is, because of this history of conflict, Pakistan government has also actively encouraged or colonized through population movement the state of Balochistan, because it was so sparsely populated. Over time, therefore, while the Baloch are a sizable people, Baloch are nearly 7 million people in Pakistan, they are scattered, but in their own state, they are now a minority, because they are about, I would say, within the state, about 5 to 5.5 million. That is what's estimated out of about 1.9 million of total population. That's why the urban areas there, for example, Quetta, these are no longer Baloch majority areas. This is where the situation also gets complicated, because it's one thing to have population coming in from outside in the hope that they will outnumber the natives and then your problems will be solved, but the problems don't get solved, particularly when the natives get armed, when there are natives have access to porous borders and also outside help, right? The Balochistan-Iran border is very, very porous. It's poorly manned. It has armed people on both sides, and it has active gun culture on both sides. And then what happens? Then suppose the state of Pakistan says, look, we have outsiders here who are more in number than the Baloch, so we will give them weapons also. So they can arm them also. What that will lead to is a proper old-fashioned civil war. That's the situation that Pakistan sometimes has been on the verge of. And that's the temptation the Pakistanis have as yet avoided, that is arming the other populations. Although, by the way, a lot of the people from tribal communities, for example, people who have links in KPK, the adjoining province, or Pathans and others, they are armed traditionally anyway. So this is quite a deadly mix in this area. This is also an area with 4 to 5 insurgencies in the past. 4 or 5 depends on how you count, how you calculate, and I'll give you some details. But before that, I will also tell you that if you want to understand the Baloch situation a little bit better, I will comment to you 3 pieces of writing. So one of these is this article by Tariq Khosa, the former cop. The other is an article, in fact, it's not a new article, it's a 2016 article written by Dr. Munis Amar. The headline of the article is, "Why is the current Baloch nationalist movement different from the rest?" Dr. Munis Amar, by the way, is a meritorious professor of international relations from University of Karachi. That's the second article. The third thing that I will recommend to you is a paper. It's a published paper from 2019 from the Pakistani Journal of Society, Education and Language. And it's written by 3 scholars, Dr. Najibul Rahman, who's an assistant professor, Dr. Muhammad Azhar, also an assistant professor, and a PhD scholar then Hamid Iqbal. So I will share links to all of these 3 with you. You can see more details there. In fact, in this paper, the 2019 paper, you will also see a table, which I am also displaying on your screen. This paper gives you the basic details of the insurgent groups, Baloch insurgent groups in the 70s, where their membership came from and what their ideology was. And when you see these groups, you will notice that a lot of them, most of them are Marxist, Leninist or socialist. Because that was the era of the Cold War, when this region got caught in the Cold War. Before that, much before that in the past, the same region was caught in the Great Game. That's when the British were around. And as India became independent and the partition took place, at that point, this region, the Balochistan region, was not automatically a part of Pakistan. In fact, the Khan of Kalat was a principality which pretty much controlled the region. He decided to be independent. In fact, he declared sovereignty. Now, 47, lots of things happened at that time in this subcontinent. In this case, the Pakistanis got involved, but I'm sure the British would have helped the Pakistanis at that point to try and put pressure on him and into forcing him to sign an instrument of accession in 1948. While that was happening, a lot of fighting also took place because the Baloch were armed people. So that in a way is considered the first insurgency in Balochistan. The second insurgency is the period 1962 to 69. Again, if you go back to 1962-69, this was the era of Ayub Khan. So Ayub Khan was a strong ruler, dictator, field marshal, martial law, all of that's fine. But one of his problems was that the largest province in all of Pakistan was East Pakistan. So any election that took place in Pakistan, if an election took place in Pakistan, or as and when an election took place in Pakistan, East Pakistan will have more seats in the national parliament than any other state. There was Punjab, Sindh, Northwest Frontier and Balochistan. So what he decided instead, he decided to put all the states together. And he said, my entire country will be just one state, right? So there will be no state entity. So at a time, also in the subcontinent where there is diversity, now in Pakistan, despite religion being a common denominator, there is a lot of ethnic, linguistic diversity. There is a lot of ethnic, linguistic diversity even within the state of Punjab in Pakistan. Now, in that situation, to try and homogenize the whole place created centrifugal pressures. And that's when one more insurgency emerged in Balochistan area. And by this time, the Soviets were getting involved because Pakistan was a partner with the Americans in the anti-communist alliances, as those were called, Baghdad Pact, Seato, CENTOS. So 62 to 69, one more insurgency raged in Balochistan. Then came the war, 71 war, the breakup of Pakistan. Bhutto took over, one election took place. Now what did Bhutto do? Very early in power, in fact, in very early in 1973, he dismissed the elected government of Balochistan. This was a government of ANP, Awami National Party, that party's leadership had descended from Bacha Khan, the great freedom fighter. Khan Bali Khan, his son, used to be the leader of the party. So his party in Balochistan, although that party was more centered in northwest frontier province, so his party, in partnership with the local Jamiyat Ulema Islam, they had the government. That was dismissed by Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. And then false charges were laid against that government for illegally supplying arms from Iraq. Getting arms from Iraq, because Iraq was then a Soviet ally. So you can connect the links. Collecting arms from Iraq and supplying them to Baloch nationalists. Thousands died as a result of the insurgency that was sparked by the dismissal of this government. So different Baloch groups came out. They were mostly Marxist-Leninist and they fought and thousands died. That insurgency went on for 4 years. Now, because this movement was so leftist, it also attracted some sons from really rich, wealthy, privileged families from Lahore as well. Many of these are people whose names we know, who became intellectuals, writers, editors over time. They also joined in. In the 70s, therefore, this had the character of a leftist insurgency. One of the commanders of the insurgents, in fact, got exiled to London and had lived there for a long time. That was Ataullah Mengal. He met Yusuf Raza Gilani, then Prime Minister of Pakistan, but after meeting him said Gilani was wasting his time meeting with him, that time for any settlement was over, that the Baloch would now want nothing else but autonomy and sovereignty, etc., etc. Ataullah Mengal, by the way, died in 2021. So this 73-77 was the third insurgency. Fourth insurgency started in 2006 with the killing of Akbar Bugti. So first his tribe revolted, and then the fourth generation of nationalists emerged. Fourth generation means beginning from 1947-48. So again, these young Baloch, and these young Baloch now are different. These young Baloch are now educated. They can use social media. They can use other media. They can record these videos in English as well as Urdu and languages that others will understand. So even if their mainstream media will not cover them, they are able to reach out to the larger number of the population there and also internationally as well. The Pakistani state responded to this with the way that the dictatorial states respond to these things, by picking up people, torturing them. People would be picked up, made to disappear. So disappearances, made to disappear, became a big slogan in Balochistan. And that is how a big mass movement also emerged. That is the reason the current protests, the current nationalist movement is different from any in the past. And that's what we read from all sensible Pakistani commentators as well, because this time, for the first time, not only is it the insurgents who are fighting. First, the insurgents are better organized. And I see a documentary on Al Jazeera where one of the insurgent commanders is talking and he's saying we are not making the mistake of LTTE. We don't have a centralized command yet, so they can pulverize one centralized command or catch some leaders and through that catch everybody. We are right now all over the place. So even if they catch one or one module, it's only that, and our basic activity remains intact. That said, they also now have a mass movement and a mass leader. And the mass leader right now is this young woman. She's just 31. She's a doctor. She has a degree from Bolan Medical College. Mahrang Baloch. Now, Mahrang Baloch has been leading these marches in which tens of thousands have been marching with her. In fact, they're going to Gwadar, which is right across Balochistan, which is a lot of distance to travel. She's also been marching to Islamabad. In fact, she went to Islamabad, sort of laid siege at Islamabad, spoke to the press, argued with policemen on camera. Even when she argued with police officers on camera, that was recorded on video. Those videos went out, and the Pakistani state and the Pakistani army simply doesn't know how to deal with this 31-year-old woman. The old method of catching people and making them disappear, or said sometimes taking liberties, as we do in subcontinental English, disappearing her. So disappearing her is not an option anymore, because she's become too prominent and too powerful and too popular right now. Now, why did she become such a leader? Why did she start her protest? She started protesting at the age of 16. It happened when her father, a laborer in Karachi, he was disappeared, right? He was disappeared and was later found murdered. So it was widely believed that he was picked up by the ISI because he was suspected to be a sympathizer of BLA, Baloch Liberation Army, which is now the preeminent group of insurgents. Then her brother also disappeared like that. So she came out to protest, and that protest is about these disappearances, about these murders, about this torture. To that, then you get into regional imbalances. She is not making any demand for separatism. And that's the reason why the government is not able to attack her or arrest her. There is a lot of calumny that is thrown at her and other women with her. But her presence has also brought a lot of the Baloch women out in protest. And as you would have seen in many dictatorial situations, it's when the women come out that the dictators don't know what to do. So the Pakistani state right now has a triple problem. One problem is that they have armed insurgents in Balochistan, and those armed insurgents have soft targets because the Chinese have so many infrastructure projects there. These armed insurgents now have the gall to even attack Pakistani army bases, even a naval air base at Pasni, because they carry out suicide attacks at many of these. We've noted some of these in our earlier episodes of Cut the Clutter, so I will not go into those details. We'll share some links with you. So that's one problem. The second is they've got a population which has no faith in the constitutional system because of the way the system hijacked the last election. The system hijacked the last election, and most people in Pakistan would tell you that people who are in power right now did not deserve to be in power. Now, whether you like Imran Khan or not, the fact is, if you held an election by keeping Imran Khan out of the elections, right, it's no different from Sheikh Hasina holding an election in Bangladesh by keeping all her opposition out of those elections. So just as in Bangladesh, this election in Pakistan also has very poor credibility. And number three, the Pakistanis have this mass movement coming out of Balochistan, run by a woman, a young woman with enormous credibility and popularity, who's not talking separatism. So these three things have made this crisis in Balochistan very different for the Pakistani establishment this time around.